I'm Idiotech, and today I want to talk to you guys about Doom. As you may or may not know, review code for Doom has been delayed until after the game has launched. The primary reason I'm making this video, and the reason I've decided not to cover Doom on this channel, is that withholding pre-release code from journalists and critics is an anti-consumer practice, and one that I believe the gaming press should not support. Now, the relationship between the publisher and the critic has always been a tricky one. However, in most cases, it's actually mutually beneficial. The critic is given access to the game before its release, allowing them to prepare their review in advance, hit an embargo, and get as many eyes on their product as possible, increasing their revenue. In return, the publisher is given free exposure for their game, and if the review is positive, they get what is essentially free marketing. Everyone benefits from this arrangement, the consumer most of all, who now has the option to be informed about a product before making a purchase. This is not the case with Doom, however. The reason given by Bethesda for not providing critics with early access to this game is that the multiplayer component would not be available until release. Now, that in itself is not an entirely unreasonable justification for withholding pre-release code. In fact, many multiplayer games that are covered prior to release end up being broken once they're released into the wild. So you might think Bethesda are simply looking to ensure that reviewers have the same experience as the rest of the player base. Well, that would be fine if the game didn't also include a 13-hour single-player campaign. Doom has traditionally been a single-player driven experience with tacked-on multiplayer. It seems to be exactly the same this time around, so that justification doesn't make a lot of sense. The question you have to ask yourself is, why would Bethesda not provide journalists and critics with access to the single-player campaign? Surely this won't change much once the game's released, and I assume it's not dependent on the servers. Surely, giving people the option to know exactly what it is they're about to buy is a good thing. Until the game releases in a few hours, we can only really speculate as to the reasoning behind this decision. However, there are two primary reasons I can think of that might lead the publisher to want to withhold pre-release code from journalists. The first of these being that they may wish to capitalize as much as possible during the first week of sales. This is the most important period after a game's release. Sales during this time can make or break a studio, and negative reviews can greatly harm those sales during this period. It's entirely possible that Bethesda are taking advantage of this by not allowing critics to review their game. Another potential reason is that the game could be using some form of always-online DRM. If this is the case, then the single-player campaign may not actually be available or playable until the servers go live on day one. As I said, all we can do at this point is speculate, and we will find out in a couple of hours. What I would ask you to do until then is to be skeptical. It's never a good sign when a publisher prevents the gaming press from covering a product prior to release. If you do decide to go ahead and buy the game as soon as it comes out, or you've pre-ordered it, I want to remind you that you do always have the option to refund within a 2-hour window on Steam. If the game's broken, I suggest you use it. Look, hopefully I'm wrong and the game's fun and it runs perfectly well on PC when it comes out. However, with these kind of dodgy business practices, withholding code from reviewers, I find that hard to believe, and I can't help but be skeptical. It's also not a practice that I want to support by giving this game coverage. Thanks for watching, and if you want to support my channel, please like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.